And this kind of dialogue can be quite important. I'll see tomorrow if I can link up with a researcher in Bath through Skype who's doing a lot of work on international CPD. She's called Marion Huxtable. Part of the joint paper is in our booklet. So we can just test out this technology to see if the conversations can develop between ourselves and our researchers we've got working in Bath. Okay? Right. What I really now appreciate is this. Before, I asked you if you would just start to have that conversation with a partner that you can treat as a critical friend, where you were just outlining something that really mattered to you. Something, like Chris Jones said, at the age of 4, she was devastated by that experience with the teacher, which actually has stayed with her as a motivating principle of what it is that she's trying to do because she experienced something she did not wish to happen. As you were talking with each other, was there anything that you feel from your own history that you feel quite powerful about, that seems to influence you, that you wouldn't mind sharing? Because I want us to go back into these narratives now and actually start to focus on the workplace and what you're already doing to improve the learning with your students or your colleagues to develop this narrative forward. And I'll then work with you to show how you can develop the narrative grounded in your own practice and experience into rigorous academic accounts, which don't lose contact with the values you hold and what you're doing. But could I just ask, is anybody able just to share an experience that has been quite powerful for you, historically, that you feel is influencing what you do as an educator?
Example, please. Can you just give us some examples?
Yeah,
and if we do understand your question, but it's quite difficult one.
Yeah, sure. The concrete case, like with Chris Jones, she was in a classroom at the age of 4, and the way the teacher behaved to her, she said, mortified me, and her whole face was full of tension. And that notion of being mortified, really humiliated, really stayed with her. And it was that made her decide to become a teacher, and that her pupils would not suffer that kind of mortification. Okay? Now, that was one example. Another comes from my own experience of being talked at school in relation to my science teachers. These were really committed teachers, but I can't remember a lesson where I was engaged in inquiry learning. And I came through school and university thinking that actually science is a process of inquiry. Why wasn't I encouraged to inquire in my science lessons? Because all I got was the transmission of factual knowledge. And so when I came into the classroom, that was in 1967, I started teaching, I was passionate about getting inquiry learning going in my science classrooms. But that came out of my own experience of having that denied and me feeling that it was important. I'll give just one further example, which comes out of my own experience. For example, a passion for academic freedom. That if you look at my work and a text, a book I produced in 1993 that's on the web about the growth of my educational knowledge, you'll see that in 1976, I had irritated some of the senior professors within my department. They had to write a report on whether I was to be offered what is called a tenured appointment. So in 1973, to 75, that is what was called the probationary period. When my report was written, I got a letter from the Senate which said that my appointment would not be extended on the grounds that I couldn't teach, I couldn't do research, And the third one, in writing from Senate, was that I had disturbed the good order and morale of the whole School of Education. Okay? Now, I don't think any of you would have had letters like that from your university. Now, that outraged me because it felt to me that that was actually based on prejudice of senior academics. I was very fortunate that my case was taken up by a professor of public law at the London School of Economics, who, completely free of charge, because he was a member of what was called the Campaign for Academic Freedom and Democracy, took on my case. He won it without any problem, and I then had to be given a tenured appointment until 2009. Now, that experience of mine made me passionate about academic freedom. And you'll see in almost all my writings that that passion for academic freedom comes out of my experience of experiencing a pressure which could have closed down my research. Am I making sense to you all here? That often people are working hard and passionately because of some experience they've had that makes it really important to them to teach in the way they teach or to teach the subject that they believe in. But I want to make sure that you've understood what I'm asking you to do, because your narratives are often connected to these passionately held values, some of which can come out of your culture, like that one about loving compassion. That is an amazing value to have within a culture. Marion is the first researcher to bring that into the University of Bath as an academic standard. But you in this room, I believe, actually as a community have been brought up within a culture that actually celebrates compassion. Because in my understanding of Buddhism, which is limited, but compassion is right at the heart of a Buddhist commitment. And within your culture, there it is, loving compassion. Now just think about the world as it is at the moment. If you could bring and extend the influence of loving compassion in the world becomes a better place to be. There's no question in my mind. And therefore the significance of your research and spreading it more widely is very significant indeed. But unless you move your forms of representation to show the meanings through your bodies in your practice, I don't think you will have the influence that you really should be having in the world. Now, is there anything else before I move on and just ask you, were those enough examples, do you think, or would you need one or two more so that you can feel the importance of telling your story based in your experience of what really matters to you? Now this, as I say, I will spend time with you on this. I'll go around the groups just to check that you are really understanding what it is that I'm asking you to do. So is that okay? Because we've got about half an hour to develop these kind of narratives. And then after the break, I'll really focus on making them academic and rigorous in terms of the research reports. But I'll go around the groups, and if you want me to come to you, just put your hand up, and I'll come around and just check that you understand. Okay? So, good. Just share experiences from your own lives. Is that? Do you know what I mean? I understand. It seems that you have this natural way of communicating together. Yes? And it feels that you need to agree something. Yeah? Come together. Whereas what I was asking about was connecting to experiences that really happen.
has mattered a lot when you think what you're doing that you think back to experiences in your life. Is there something that has been powerful?
You led the way then. Thank you. That's great. Okay, good.
Yes?
When you're ready, do just go for a drink and a break. And in about 15 minutes, we get back for our final session of the day. Very much to start to develop this understanding of how your stories, the stories that you are beginning to tell each other about what really matters to you, can be turned into narratives which can get academic accreditation, they can go into referee journals, they can actually be awarded master's degrees and also doctoral degrees. Because that is what I've been working on, certainly for the last 30 years, that I've got now quite a number of successfully completed supervisions on both masters, doctorates, and also helping people to get their work published in referee journals. And it all started from the kind of stories that you were actually telling each other before you actually went for the break. They all started by inquiries, by showing an interest in the other person in terms of what really matters to them, what experiences they had that really have brought them to the point of wanting to study their own practice. But all my supervisions didn't start with theories of academics, which I would transmit to my students. Because as I told you, when I experienced that myself, I could see that a mistake was made if you start from the theories of others rather than the practice of the educator and try to make sense of the influence that, for example, I was having with my students. Now it's not a problem here because so many of you have got direct access to the internet. I have not been in a workshop literally anywhere in the world where I can look round and see the number of people who are connected into the internet. What I want to do is just to show you how you can start to make your stories publicly accessible so that we can work on them to strengthen their academic legitimacy. But if we don't make them public, we can't work on them. And at the moment, they're rather private. That as I was going around, I could hear really important experiences that explain why you're doing what you're doing. You know, there were notions, and I was saying to the group that one of my mother's favourite values, and she would live this, certainly before she died, was loving kindness. And it was only after her death I really began to appreciate the significance of kindness. Now, as I was going around, I was being told that one of the values that one of the members here had experienced from a teacher was kindness, and that this had moved her in relation to her own teaching. Now, it's these kind of values which are really important, but we've got to learn to share. Now, could I ask, how many of you have already got your own websites where you are posting your papers? Could you just put your hand up if you've got your own website? So, one, that's two. Yeah? Just two of them. Okay, now, I think, and I'm not sure because I've never tested this, that everybody here can create freely their own website using a system that I'll show you now. And it might just be possible for you to post something of your story on your own website for tomorrow, so that we've got something that we can bring up on the screen and actually work with. But I just want to show you, just to check, because you can do it in the here and now. Because a lot of you have got your machines open, you should be able to access the web, and I'll just show you what I've got in mind with this particular system, which is free, and it's called Spanglefish. Now, just to demonstrate what it can do, is if you go into my web page, you go into the other home pages, and you come down to Sonia Hutchinson's web page. So you've got here Sonia Hutchinson's web page, and also you may see Marie Huxtable tomorrow. And Marie, if I just click on Marie's web page, you'll see here www.spanglefish.com. Now, this is the free website, and I'll just go and put up Sonia's because you'll recognize, I think, this is Sonia. I'm saying my big purpose is to help you develop my living theory. And you can go into Sonia's writings, where Sonia is doing a master's. She's a senior executive director of what we call a carers network in the southwest of England. And you can view all the stories that Sonia has already posted on her website, which I believe, either later this afternoon or this evening or tomorrow, you might just be able to post one of your own stories that we can actually bring up and start to work with, just as Sonia has done here. And you'll recognize the Buddhist influence on Sonia because she's developing her living theory of mindfulness and learning, and that is influenced by her Buddhism in relation to mindfulness. So how can I improve my practice as chief executive? She's got here some of her stories about my influence in relation to encouraging her to do a PhD. Now, the one that you might enjoy reading, because it is so unusual, is this: Me, My Mad Mum, and Others. Now, when I was asking you to talk about what it was about your experiences that moved you into, if you like, your passions as an educator. This is how Sonia explained her passion to become a carer. And she's now the senior executive of a carers network. She's only, when she wrote this, 29. This was about 18 months ago. And she begins in this very unusual way. I'm a 29-year-old female, 8th African, 8th Polish, 8th Scottish, 2/8 German, 3/8 English. Now, nobody that I know has started with that degree of into their heritage. But she's unusual in that her biological parents both had schizophrenia, which was a mental health issue. When she was 3 years old, Sonia was fostered. And her foster mum and dad actually brought her up. But as she got older, she made contact with her biological mum and is now a carer for her biological mum, who has also got still her mental health issues. But she has come up with a loving family in terms of the foster family. Now Sonia explains through this history why she is so passionate about supporting carers within their own homes as they are looking after often a relative who's got a disability that they can no longer care for themselves. And this is the narrative that Sonia has told. And she's built this into a narrative which, if you go back into her writings and you look at her stories, you'll see that she's actually begun to get work of master's quality that has been accredited already for master's units in terms of these stories. And she's also presenting at international conferences. She did one in America 4 weeks ago, and actually is putting forward these accounts for her master's, and she will move on to her doctorate. But these stories emerge from that one, me, my mad mum, and others, which help you to understand her values. Now what I want to show you is this, that if some of you now can just put in the spanglefish.com, can you read that in terms of the command line? Spanglefish, SPANGLEFISH.com. If you could put that into the command line of your browser, just to see if this free website actually comes up. So I'm just interested in whether you can access on your computer now this free website. Could I ask, are you into that, or can you get into it? Yeah? Now, can you see here where it says, try it now, sign up, it's free. All you need to do is to put in your name, email, give your site a name. Marie called her Marie's site. You know, I mean, Sonia's will be Sonia's site. You just give yours a name. And the country, Thailand, I think you could, let's just see if you can actually link in with Thailand. Let's see if it does it. Yes, there you are. So you click on Thailand, and then you click that box and click that. Now, if you will do this, it should give you access to a free website where you can post a short narrative for others just to have a look at. Because what we can't do until you make your narratives public, we can't work on them to strengthen their academic legitimacy. This is really important, because if your stories just stay within your small group, you know, 2 of you or 6 of you, we cannot make them rigorous research accounts that can be accredited for masters and doctorates and get published in the refereed journals. So I see quite a number of you are now accessing the web. If I just walk around, it would be just interesting for me to see how many of you are actually able just to get onto the Spanglefish site and see if you can actually create your own website. Great.
Should we give our personal information?
Yeah.
Your name?
Yeah, by all means. That is up to you. You know, normally you give your real name, your email, give it a different address, you know, give it your name as a site. But you can do whatever you like. If you want to remain anonymous, you create it anonymous, but put your own, you know, put the email in, because otherwise you can't be contacted. Yep. Site name, what is your name? Yeah, what? Right, so you could put Patteria's. Yeah? Patteria's site. Yeah? You can give it any name you like, but something you can remember. That's great. Okay?
I'll have a look with her, my battery.
Your battery's done, is it? Okay. Do you want to? Oh, right.
I didn't actually bring it, so
Okay, okay.
I'll get it back.
Yeah, do. But try tonight, perhaps.
Okay,
You can.
and if there's problem.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Good. Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, yes, well done. Good. Great. Oh, excellent. Are you okay? Or are you stuck with this? Do you want to? I'll come back. Well, you need to do that. That's very just your name, site. You've got a choice really. You could either put, say, Marie just puts her Marie's site. You could put Pramuan's site. Yeah? It could be any name, as long as you can remember your own name. Okay. Are you okay? Yeah, good. Successful. Getting into it. I see driving. Oh, I see you doing the market as well. Good. Yes. Some have already managed to sign up. Are you still working on it? Yeah. Okay. You stuck around. Okay, excellent. So we will be able to access you. Yes, success. Yes, you've succeeded. You will get an email now, in maybe a few hours. Well, it might be a few hours to say you've succeeded, and you'll be able to click on the email. But that's brilliant. How do you get on? Not yet. Okay, you're still doing it. Okay. 2 to 3. Okay. You will get an email when it says you've successfully, completed the application. You will receive an email. Now, this sometimes takes a couple of hours to come through. When it comes through, you can activate your site. The thing that you must remember is the password. Have you all managed to put in a password that you can remember? Because when your website comes up, you need to log in there. Okay? And you will be able to log in again with your password. So there's the name, you've got the password. And that gets you into the site, and then you can actually post your actual writings. Now, what I would like you to try is to post, and I'll give you the time now just to get the thing underway, some statements that are linked to that action planner on the page 211. Now, on page 211, you've got those questions which I would like you to put onto possibly a Word document and just answer, because you've already written, and I read them last night, some of the statements. If you leave them as handwritten statements, almost nobody else can access them. This is where you can turn your narrative into research. You're making it public, and we're actually going to make it systematic by going through the action reflection planner. So, what I'd like you to do is look at those questions. What do I want to improve? Why do I feel something could be improved? What could I do that might improve what I am doing? Okay, now we've started that systematic form of action reflection cycle, which is part of action research. And what I want you to do, see if you can manage this, is just to respond to those 3 questions. If you can go on and you have the time to go on to question 4 about the data, please do that. But I want to just give you something, the actual experience of getting this process of the research underway, because it means making your research public. We need to share it. And this is a way now on the web that we can actually make your systematic inquiry public. So I'd like you, as I say, we've got just about 30 minutes before the end of the session. And it's just to give you that chance now. Do you all use Word as the application for word processing, or do you have a different one in Thailand? Which application do you use as your word processor? On your computer, or are they all different? Do you know what I mean by that? It's the same, is it? So we use, as I say, just a word processor, which we call Word. Now, if you could get into your word processor and word process your response to those questions. So just write them out. What do I want to improve? What do I feel, could be, what could I do that might improve what I'm doing? And just respond to those. And then when this message comes through your email and you've activated your website, see if you can post this file onto the website. So tomorrow we can access a number of them. And we can actually see that this process has got underway. Now, the only other thing I would add is this. Some of you might already be prepared to write a little bit about the narrative that you started as you talk to somebody about what really mattered to you, the values that you are very aware of now in terms of your experience and your history. If you get the time and the opportunity, if you can write a couple of paragraphs about those values and experience, just to add to that section of the Action and Reflection Planner, please do that. But what I want everybody to do, if you could now, is to answer those 3 questions, the first 3. If you can go on to number 4, please do that about the data. And if you can do that about a little bit of the narrative, a paragraph or 2, about your experience, that will really get this process underway. And then I can move on tomorrow, as I say, to really showing how to develop these into rigorous academic research. But it must be in contact with the values that you hold and your own practice and the context, especially the context in which you're living and working. Could I ask, is that clear what I'd like you to do now in terms of putting those 3 questions, first of all, into your Word program, the application, responding to them, because I think you're now familiar with what it is you want to improve, the reason why do you want to improve it, and that action plan, okay, what might you do? So get that imagined possibility of what you might do back in your context to improve your practice. If you've got any issues or problems with that, just put your hand up and I'll come round and I'll give you a hand. Okay, thanks. me a well on the Spanglefish site that she's created. And she's done something which might allow us to get into it. And I'm just seeing if I can Skype her, just to ask, because she's put us a Thai password in. So don't let it disturb you, you know. But I'll just Skype her now and just see what she's meaning. Okay? So, can you, if you like, just talk me through it?
Yeah. Go on to living values improvement practice.
Into what? The...
Go on to the living values improvement practice for
Okay.
oxygen.
Okay. Yeah, I've gone into that.
At the top left, just the login.
Yeah.
Click on that.
It says Thailand CPD.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it says Thailand CPD on the top down there.
Yeah, click on Thailand CPD. I clicked on that. Yeah. And it comes up, first thing, Thailand CPD. Welcome to all of you working with Prof. Jack Whitehead.
Oh, no, okay. No, wait a minute. You're into pages. On the top left-hand corner, this is login. There's a little tab right at the top.
Top left-hand corner, yeah?
Yes.
So I log in. Okay, top left.
After that, yes.
So I've got CPD group in the dialog box. Should I put...
Yeah. No, if you just click next to that, there's some arrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings you up.
I've got the type.
Drop down there.
Yeah.
Click on top of it.
Yeah.
Right, and underneath, put in the Thailand 2013. Is it
I'm
password?
sure it's Thailand, not Thai.
At the top.
Is it Thailand 2003? 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Thailand
No, I'll try it.
2013. Okay, log in. Okay.
To log you in.
Sorry, your name and password do not match.
Okay, just give me a
I
minute.
think you said Thai 2013. Let me try it.
Yes, you're right. I'm wrong. Right?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Okay. Yeah, they did.
Sorry about that.
Managed to make this. So that then comes up with the site settings.
Yeah, you can get in and do whatever you want.
You get inside and do whatever you like. Okay, I've got it. Okay, thanks, Marie. I hope to see you tomorrow anyway, about 3 o'clock. Yeah, your time. All right. Oh, I'm confident. Okay.
I am doctor, but that's my doctor.
Okay.
Okay, how's it all going well?
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Ta-da. Okay, that was just that I didn't know that my colleague Marie Huxtable had actually sent you a message on Spanglefish, and she just put about creating the passwords for you to upload on this other site on Spanglefish if you haven't managed to get your own site working. So tomorrow, whether you get your site working or not, don't worry about it, because Marie set up what are called administration rights, so you can use this site as if it is your own. Okay, well that's really good of you. That's excellent. Good. How are the things going with you now? Are you feeling that is everybody stuck, or are you managing to get your written work? Because I do want these, as I say, to be made available. We'll find a way of either making them available on your own Spanglefish site, or on this one that we've got going as an international CPD project, or, and this is important, if are you tired? God, I was going to say a yawn at the back. Am I having this kind of soporific effect on you? You know, what I'd love to do then is, if we still have a problem, you know my email is in my website, okay? You can email me your writings, because I'll be able to post them so that others can actually access them. So we will find some way of making sure that your concerns, the imagined way forward, the kind of, we've done a bit on data, what kind of data do you need to gather? And it's just a way of going public and a way we can then hold each other, we say, accountable for living our values as fully as we can. But you do need now, as I say, to write your own narrative, if you can, like we were saying, you know, about that point about your biology teacher, how that really inspired you to actually want to teach biology. That other people have had difficult experiences which have moved them to become the educators they are. We had a lovely narrative here, you know, it's incredibly powerful in terms of your history and what, you know, the reflections you were doing on your own and clarifying the way forward and then trying it out, evaluating, modifying. You've already gone through a number of action reflection cycles in your narrative. So that's, again, very exciting. So each in this room has got a narrative which is, as I say, important to tell. Is there anybody that wants me to help in any way? I'll still be sitting here anyway, so yes? So it's like we say a backup. If you could put my email is jack@actionresearch.net, and it's on my website, at the bottom of my website. So if you could email me your document you've just been writing on, the one that I want you to post on your Spanwell site, that will give us a backup for tomorrow, where I'll be able to bring it up on my own email. So if you could do that at some point this evening, you can do it now if you like, but if you could email jack@actionresearch.net. And if you forget that, it's on my website. Okay? That's great. So really do go when you're ready. You know, you don't need me to say anything else, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Okay, thanks for today.